Okay, welcome back. So in the earlier video, we did start our project and we started an app. The name of our project was Bio and the name of our application was Face ID. And in the earlier video, we understood that the project is like a house. The app is like a room in the house. So we create a project, then inside that project, we build the apps, that is the smaller rooms inside that particular house. Now, inside our project folder, we have settings, we have URLs. The URL file is like the entire routing for your house. So the project url.py file tells us when a user knocks on the door, where should the user go? So if I knock on your door, where should I go? Should I go to the sitting room? Should I go to the waiting room? Or should I sit somewhere else and wait? That is the structure of the URLs. So the urls.py, which is the project urls.py file, tells us that when a user knocks on our door, send the user to room 1, send the user to room 2, send the user to room 3. We can also say that when a user knocks on our door and the user is holding a bottle of water, send the user to the kitchen because the kitchen is where we keep hot water. If the user knocks on our door and the user is holding a pillow, send the user to room 1 because room 1 is for guests. If the user knocks on our door and the user is holding something like an iron, send the user to the ironing room. That is where we do our various ironing. So what we are simply saying is that the project urls.py file simply routes users through our various applications. So if a user knocks on our door and the user wants to do a biometric or face verification, send the user to the Face ID application. That is the simple and easiest way I can explain the project urls.py file to you. So the project urls.py file simply just tells us that when I knock on the door, go here, do that. Then we have the settings.py file, which is in the project folder. The settings.py file just help us control what is happening in our project. So everything that is happening in the entire house, how do we control it? We use the settings.py file. Now let's move on to our application. The app that we created was the Face ID app. And inside that app folder, we have views, we have tests, we have models, we have apps, we have admin. The views, Django works this way. We have model, view, and templates. The model is the database. The views is where your logic is sitting at. So all the logic of this particular application will be stored in the views. All the records that we want to store, the database that we want to create, the tables that we want to create in this particular app, the Face ID app, will be stored in the models. And we have something we call templates. Template is what the user sees on their side. So the template is like the HTML file that we present to the user in their browser. So Django works on the model, the view, and the templates. The model is your database, the view is where you save your logic, and the template is what you present to the user. Now, if you take a look at this, in our project folder, we have urls.py. So the question is, if a user knocks on the door here and the user wants to do a face recognition test, we need to tell the user to go to the Face ID application. So we need to tell the project urls.py file that there is an app called Face ID. So if a user knocks on our door and the user wants to do face detection, send the user to the Face ID application. And we are going to do that in the next video. Let's go back to our application, which is the Face ID. Inside Face ID, if you can recognize, we don't have any file here called URLs. But in our project file, we have urls.py, which allows us to route through our entire house. Now the question is, what happens if the user gets to the Face ID application? You said you have a room, and in that room, we only do face recognition. Now, when I get to that room, how do I tell that this is where I submit my first picture, this is where I submit my second picture, this is where I click to process the picture to be able to tell whether the individuals are the same? What it basically means is that we also need a routing for each room. So each application, we need to provide a routing. So the user came, knocked on our door, which is our project. The user wanted to do face recognition. We said that go to room 5. Room 5 is where we have our Face ID application. The user got to room 5. When you get to room 5, you don't just enter. You also need to knock on room 5. So when the user knocks on room 5 will also ask, what exactly do you want to do? Then the user will tell room 5 what they want to do. So room 5 will say that, okay, if you want to do face detection, enter the room, move on to your right, there is a desktop machine there, sit behind it, turn on the camera, and I'll do the face detection for you. So there should be a routing in our application as well, so that when the user knocks on the door, the application will be able to tell that this is what you want to do, this is the URL to do that, this is what you want to do, this is the URL to do that. So in Django, when you create an app inside the application, you also need to create a file called urls.py. And that urls.py file will handle the routing for that single application. So your project folder or your project file has a url.py file. And that url.py file will direct users to the various applications that they need. When they get to the application as well, the application also needs a url.py file to be able to route people when they knock on the application door as well. So all you need to do is to create another file in here called urls.py to handle the routing inside this Face ID application. So in VS Code, you just click on the plus sign here, there is a new file, there is a new folder. So you click on the new file, then you name it urls.py. Remember, the urls.py file we are creating should be in the application folder. That is our Face ID folder. So you name it urls.py, then hit enter, you save it. So now inside our Face ID application, we have views, we have URLs, we have tests, we have models, we have apps, we have admin, and we have _init__.py. Now, remember I told you Django works on model, view, and templates. What this simply means is that we have our model, which is here. We have our views, which is here. It's left with our templates. Now, when it comes to templates, which is what your user is going to see, there are two ways to do it. You can have an application-specific template, that is, each room inside your house should have its own set of templates. And we have the global template, that is, the entire project will have one template. So what it means is that when the user knocks on the door, we can store all the templates in a particular folder in one room inside the entire house. Or we can do it this way. Each room, which is each application, can have its own template folder. Then we store the application specific templates. So we can store the Face ID.html templates inside the Face ID application folder templates. Or we can do it globally. We can just create a template folder inside our project folder. Then we store our templates in there. That is the two ways that you can do it when it comes to Django. So what we are going to do is we are going to store our templates globally. So we will simply go into our project folder, and inside our project folder we will create a folder in that particular folder called templates. So in VS Code, you just click on add new folder and we name it templates, then you hit enter. So what it means is that we now have our models, we have our views, and we have our templates. So this is our model inside our app. We have our views, which will store our logic. Then we have the templates, which will store the HTML files we are going to present to the user. In the next video, we are going to work on the routing. That is how we will tell the entire project that if someone wants to do Face ID detection, send them to the Face ID app, and when the person gets to the Face ID app, send them to the particular place that we are doing the face detection. Then we add some templates to our application as well.